So, I don't know about you guys, but I used to play World of Warcraft an absolute ton to the point where it was actually horrible for my real life situation. And then recently, of course, they came out with World of Warcraft Classic, and then most recently, they have Season of Discovery, which I've been playing a ton of. And it made me think, man, I kind of wish they'd come out with Idle Heroes classic servers in a way where we could go back to the day where building one hero was an actual long-term investment. Instead of taking 2 weeks to build an E5 hero, kind of took like 5 to 6 to build your first one, and maybe even further back than that, building your first E3 hero. Or what if I told you way back in the day the highest you could actually bring your hero to was actually a 10-star? There's no unbending will, and it was complete havoc. Assassins reigned supreme. Well, it was just a really fun time of idle heroes. What if we could go back and play that again? Because I feel like a lot of you guys might even still be watching some of our videos and have quit the game, mainly because there's so many power systems in the game. And back then, planning your progress, planning out when to use your resources and events was even more of a payoff than it is to this day. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to do a little retrospective. We're going to go back in time, and we're going to take a look at old school idle heroes to think, what if we could get a classic version of the game re-implemented? So this right here is actually one of my extremely old videos. One of the first like 20-ish videos I had on the channel, and it had to do with Penny, because back in the day getting Sealand 20 was an extremely big goal. And as you guys can see here, we have 2 pennies on this account and a Sigmund. This was a heavy investment into a strategy that was kind of weird. I mean, you can take a look back in the day, we still just had 6-star gear. We of course had some class sets. Running a 3-1 split gear setup was most optimal. Having these orange exclusive artifacts were a lot of times better than regular artifacts, and even using 10-star heroes like Emily came in and were like a huge benefit. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. Man, you remember those old splash screens too? Just the game felt so clean. Number one, because there weren't a billion spell effects and buff effects and icon effects on all these different heroes. But good lord, who remembers me just yelling at the computer, Penny just crit? Because literally Penny had to crit on every single attack for us to even have a chance here. And as you guys can see, ooh, it was still a little rough. And this is just Sealand 20. Man, hold on, wait a minute. We need to go back to this for a second. Coming back here, do you remember the old aura system? So this actually went into your whole entire account team building strategy as well. There were only certain combinations of heroes that you could use that would give specific buffs. You couldn't just throw any old heroes in there and get some sort of generic buff like we have now. We thought when they changed this, it was a good thing. Kind of feels bad nowadays because it really killed the team strategy, actually building your account up. There were ones where like this, where you got a buff for a specific team, but each one of these buffs were very unique and different. There was a rainbow strategy where you had to have one of each faction in the lineup, which was a really cool one and what most free-to-play went for. There was a light and dark one. There was an abyss, shadow, dark one. There were so many different strategies that it was really cool. The other thing that was interesting back in the day, this little glow, this glow actually signified what monster you had to equip. We didn't actually have that monster button here anymore. You simply went up here, you picked your monster, and then it gave a nice little aura around your heroes. Very different from what we're used to seeing nowadays. It was a much simpler time, and to be honest, I don't know about you guys, I miss the simpler time where actually having strategy came into play. Because one thing you didn't have back in the day in this situation, the only real RNG to the power of your account came down to one thing. And that was, did you have all your guild tech? That was about it. I think this was even before we had secondary tier of guild tech as well. And that was really, again, the only RNG of comparing account to account. Your gear was all the same. There's no fixed stats that were coming in. Hey, remember when we used to have music in the background too, because we didn't talk that much? These were really interesting times, and it was really cool because even beyond that, I'll show you guys one of my favorites. There was a pretty much a set way to clear things that if you built towards it, it would basically guarantee you get it. Nowadays, it's like this team can work. However, you need treasure train at this. You need star spawn at this. You need your cloud island to be this. You need your tenants to look like this. You need these types of awakenings. And there's so many. We didn't need to use to have that back in the day. It was really, really nice. So hands up in chat, who remembers the most powerful PvE team in the world? Yes, it was the Scary Army. It was literally my goal, once I figured out what I was doing in the game, to make the most powerful team in the world. And like this one here, we did like 8.6 billion, yes, only with a B, 8.6 billion damage. And that was like one of the highest damage records you have ever seen. There was literally a group of us on Reddit, on Discord, that made the Scaries. And was he great in other game modes? No, not really. But it was fun to be able to build something like this and have a niche part of the game that you could just completely dominate. Flame Shrine, Broken Spaces, they were actually more impactful back in the day. And heck, they could even become stronger in PvP. The whole reason why I started my YouTube channel is because I had this Scary Army and Garuda came out. I'm like, holy cow, Garuda has a really cool synergy. But this right here is what peak PvE damage used to look like. The Heart Watcher, of course, was necessary. The monster was the Phoenix. And of course, because of that, we had that Deathsworn in our team. And yeah, we had absolutely no aura for this setup. You'll notice there's no bonus aura or anything like that. Man, I remember that Shia background too. But yeah, I definitely sped the combat up. But yeah, this is essentially what it used to look like to have peak PvE damage. Nothing like what it looks like nowadays. I mean, even when Drake came in, it still wasn't that big of a deal. Granted, by then we were already moving away from the scary strategy, but like even when in fast forward, like there's so few spell effects going on screen that it just feels so much better than it is now. Now it's like every hero has 30 bubbles around their hero and icons and floaty things and indicators. It's like you can't even really tell what's going on because there's just so many things happening on the screen. Yes, this is what I used to enjoy, and this was the main reason why I pushed. So right here, that was like okay damage. You see these numbers? There was no commas, there was no truncated 1 2 3. We literally had to do this like every single time, so we're doing like, yeah, that's some decent damage, right? So that was doing how much damage back in the day? 46 billion. Wait, is that correct? Yeah, 46 billion. Oh, so maybe 86 billion was our record. Let's take a look and see what our final record was on one of these battles here. What do we get? What do we get? Okay, so that was like up to 52. This one looks like it might have been an even better one. No, that was even worse. I'm guessing my last one was probably going to be my best. Let's see what our final attempt was. Man, the user interfaces were different, and just saving up for events was so much more impactful. Nah, I guess we didn't hit that number. But yeah, you remember back in the day how, like, I remember. I still talk to some of these people on Discord to this day. It was just such a fun time. Yeah, we were a mega whale, guys. This was like VIP 13 when it really mattered back in the day. But even like when you look at the user interfaces and stuff, like going to challenge the bosses was even kind of cool looking. Like if we just jump ahead right here real quick, even like the Flame Shrine interfaces look different. This looks pretty similar, of course, but like even this, and this had the old guild interface too. I really miss the old days. And this isn't even like the original days. This is the E5 meta days. We're not talking about the E3 meta. We're not even talking about the 10-star meta. But what, I mean, I think I would have more fun playing that than I would this that we're currently playing right now. Yeah, I needed to talk about it today because it's been on my mind for a little bit, and I'm like, what if we could somehow get this to happen? Like, I mean, in World of Warcraft, we never thought Classic would actually happen. Maybe it's time for a private server to pop up. Not like the private server that already exists, but a private server that is literally just the old school version of the game. I think that would be an absolute ton of fun. And imagine if they released that type of game and released new heroes, but just kept them all at like 10-star or something like that. So let me know what you guys think when you play a classic Idle Heroes. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.